gentlemen, as I mentioned earlier, we've got a visitor here from the US of A, out of California, would you believe? He's got the best hobby on the planet because he is a track chaser, and he is rated as the world's #1 track chaser as well, and he's been to a lot of tracks. Let's find out a little bit about what a track chaser actually does. Randy Lewis, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, enjoying the races tonight. It's a lot of fun here.
It is good, isn't it? Now, you were here not that long ago in Australia for Lismore and a few other tracks, but you've decided to come back over the long weekend for Murray Bridge on Friday night, Renmark last night, and now, of course, you're at Sunline. What is it that drives you? How do you do this?
Well, as you mentioned, I am a track chaser, and as a track chaser, I try to go all over the world.
It's not working. No, it wasn't working. No, try this one.
Okay, as you mentioned, I am a track chaser.
Yeah, I think it's gone.
Okay, sounds good. And I live in Los Angeles. My wife and I are here tonight, and we've been in Australia here for a few days, enjoying our time. My hobby of track chasing is actually trying to go around the world and see racing at as many different racetracks as I possibly can.
So, all right, now you told me on the radio the other day, but how many tracks have you been to so far?
Tonight is my 2,865th track,
Wow.
and that's been done in 86 countries. And actually, this is about our 12th trip to Australia.
Goodness.
And I think tonight on the Australian continent, meaning Australia and New Zealand, this is track number 53. So I've seen a few races out here.
You have, haven't you? So the quality of races, are we up there with others in the world, or are we way down there?
Actually, I've seen some racing in Australia that's as good as in the United States. I'm a big fan of the super sedans, and I'm a big fan of winged sprint cars, especially the 410s. I know you guys get a lot of U.S. Drivers over here
do, yes.
during your summertime. And so I've seen some really good racing in Australia.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic to have you here as well. Tonight's racing, so you've been to Murray Bridge on Friday night. You saw a lot of activity there. Some of those drivers that were there are here tonight in the super sedans.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on the quality of racing and the way the tracks are prepared and that sort of thing here?
Well, I noticed you guys do a lot of watering of the track, and I think that's a good idea to keep the dust down. I really haven't seen much dust at any of the tracks that I've been to.
Yep.
And you start a little bit earlier than we would start, so you're going to be racing during the daylight a little bit more. But yeah, very competitive racing, and I like the street stocks. They get around there pretty good, and the idea that they change direction makes it even more fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, it really is. The problem is, of course, with the daylight saving and the sun drags the moisture out of the track. But if we waited for the sun to go down, what are we now? We're at 7 o'clock and the sun's still blasting down. So we do have to start early and to get through all the nights. So it's something we've learned to deal with. Most tracks can deal with the moisture that's not there. It's excellent.
Last weekend, I was in Argentina, down by Buenos Aires, and a place called Bahia Blanca. They race midgets there. They didn't start racing till 9:30 at night,
Wow.
and they ended at 2 a.m., and that was what they expected to do.
Okay.
So everybody does it a little bit differently, but I'm a big fan of dirt oval track racing. I see racing on road courses during the winter in the United States. I see racing on frozen lakes. It's called ice racing, obviously. Go-kart racing, and a whole much different races, and dirt oval tracks are my favorite.
Well, you're going to have to come back and see some more because it's been fabulous to have you here. I know you're spreading the word around the world with your live Facebook posts and all the rest of it, and you've got a YouTube page as well, I noticed.
Yeah, I do have a YouTube page. It's my name, Randy Lewis. I've got about 1,500 racing films from all the tracks I've visited, about 3,000 subscribers or so. I've got a website, which is randylewis.org. And if you go on there, you'll see a lot of interesting stories about the things that we do. And I just point out the idea that we don't just see racing on these trips. We try to meet as many people as we can. We try to see as many sites as we can. We were down in Melbourne to begin this trip, and we went to the theater one night, and we went on a river cruise. So it's try to do as many things as we can during the trip.
See everything that you can.
Makes
Look
a
how
lot more
flat he's
fun,
coming through. He's come up to ask some questions, and stewards aren't here. Yeah, look, it's amazing. So, as you say, not only the Speedway, but you pick up on the culture and the people that are running it, and the various differences that are of people, really, when it comes down to it, isn't it?
Absolutely, and everywhere we go, the people are really nice. It's a little bit of an advantage for us in a place like Australia because there's everyone speaking English.
Yep.
Not our English, but and we're not speaking your English, but it's a lot easier than if you go to Argentina and nobody speaks English at all.
Oh, that would be difficult. And we must mention that you've got a lovely wife that does all of this with you. You are a lucky person to have a wife that supports you in what you're doing. She obviously loves it as well.
Yeah, she's down there, right, sitting near the fence. Tonight is her 683rd track. And for most people who are racing fans, they understand what 683 tracks would be like to go.
That'll be amazing, mate. So good to have you here. Hopefully, when you come back, do you plan these trips ahead a long way, or do you just go, going to go to Australia next week?
It really depends. What brought me here this particular weekend was the idea that I could see racing at tracks I'd never been to on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The more tracks I go to, the more difficult it is to find tracks I haven't been to.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And now that I'm up to 53 in Australia, and I think I've seen about 60 tracks in the UK, it's getting a little more challenging to figure out the itinerary, but when you get there and you do it, it's that much more rewarding.
Mate, quick hint, come back down to Australia in August, later in the year. I think it's August. Northline Speedway. Amazing speedway. All right, it is brilliant in Darwin. It's hot and it's sticky, but it is one of the best speedways in the country. And they have the Big Thunder series going on up there, all the 410 sprint cars. It's got to be a must-see if you haven't done it already.
Sounds good. I've not been there. I'll try to get that one on the schedule, see what we can come up with.
You stay in touch with me, mate, and I'll point you towards all the biggies, all right?
Trevor, thank you very much for talking to me about track chasing. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. And we'll catch up with you on the wireless later. RandyLewis.org is what you want to look for, guys and girls. And say good day to him, because we like friends that spread the word around the world. Thanks, mate.
All right, take care now.